everybody, I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton's behind the camera. The Court of Public Opinion is about to be in session with the sound of a helicopter coming through the garage door. I think it's only really, Pete, it's only really the police helicopter that we ever hear up here.
Yes.
And sometimes it's at 2 o'clock in the morning. I guess they're on the trail of somebody. I find it a comforting noise, but then again, I'm not out there being chased. Well, not this week, anyway. I mentioned to you yesterday, I think, that we were talking about electric cars. How did that come up, Pete?
Yes, I was surprised how
Electric
long ago
cars.
it was.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, oh yes, about the bargains, because apparently you can go in and get a fairly good deal on a car. I would suspect electric and internal combustion engine, frankly, because while the dealerships are busy, as I was saying to you yesterday, they are busy sort of delivering the cars that were on order some time ago, 18 months, 2 years ago maybe. So it looks like a bit of a lull. I suspect it's because people are waiting to see just how significant electric cars are going to be. Well, I think Pete and I have done the very best we can to show you as much authentic, graphic footage of the dangers involved in having an electric car one way or another, particularly in your garage or under your roof. But anyway, that's just me.
I won't have one. No.
Well, I just don't find it interesting or romantic, but that's not me. But I was saying that I knew there was an anniversary coming up involving electric cars, and it might interest you or even surprise you to know that this is the day, December 5th, the year, where are we? 1893. And yes, once this eye has settled down completely, I'll get the reading glasses and it'll be a lot easier for all of us. 1893, the first electric car is built. It could go 15 miles between charges. Okay. They didn't catch on. There was an electric car running around New York in 1904. I know that. All right, things have moved on. The batteries are better, if perhaps more dangerous. But I still don't get electric cars entirely. Even if you've got charging stations everywhere, and we don't, you can't, like going to a garage and getting another tank of fuel. I have no idea how long it takes to charge the battery of a car, possibly 4 or 5 hours. You can't just sit around somewhere waiting for your battery to be charged if you're on a road trip or something like that. Anyway, to each his own, but just by virtue of saying that there are probably some bargains to be had out there in the retail car business, if you care to look. And I was talking to you about the NDIS yesterday and how silly this government has been from day one about it. Here's another one for you. Here's another one. With the help of the Greens, this government has put at risk the very existence of the Murray Basin. Now, the Murray Basin is the food bowl of this country. Largely, this particular area is responsible for the amazing ability we have to produce food. We have, in fact, enough food produced in this country to feed 75 million people a year. But that might be a thing of the past. Now, the Greens and this government have put their forces together to, in the name of the river, to reinstitute the voluntary water buyback arrangements. I am told by people who know and whose opinion I respect, I am told this will result in many farmers quitting the land. being tempted, and indeed succumbing to that temptation, because it's a hard life being a farmer, quitting the land, which will result in the cost and the availability of food going through the roof. You know, with government, I firmly believe that every politician, every person in Parliament, every lawmaker should take a pledge simply to do no harm. It's what doctors used to do. I don't think they still do it, but do no harm. A country is dependent upon its ability to feed itself and to protect itself. Now, in the cold hard light of day, whether it's manufacturing or it's farming, this lot in Canberra won't be happy until we have to import everything, even the food on our tables. Yes, the river will get more water. It will be healthier. But at what cost? I blame, not that I'm an expert, but I can't help but believe that the locks and the dams and all of the obstacles preventing the free flowing of that river, that is the real problem. And that problem is sort of multiplied all the way down to the Murray mouth, the Coorong. Now, what's going to happen is that the taxpayers will be virtually, according to my reading of this, they will be paying out billions of dollars in the first place to tempt farmers to give up their water rights so that the river will get the water, not the farmers. Then, after having spent all of that money, we will have to pay more in the supermarkets for everything we eat. And I would not blame the farmers for walking off. You know, I wouldn't. Leave that lot in there in Canberra for another term, and God knows what damage they're going to do. None of it makes any sense, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I've still got this. It's not too bad, it's just a bit of a cold. One thing this past week has thrown up I'm just trying to think of how I can put it in a nutshell. Observing what has been going on in the courts, one court in particular, it strikes me that a lot can depend on the advice that is given to government. And that may be lobbyists, it may be all sorts of interest groups who have an opinion or a position. Government is not without help. Gets lots of advice. A huge public service. Billions spent on consultants. Absolutely billions. Over 2,000 staff in Parliament House alone. And an average of 4 or 5 people in every electorate office throughout Australia. Now, why I mention this, and I've got to tread carefully, is this defamation action taking place at the moment involving Brittany Higgins and Bruce Lehrmann, about which I won't say anything till it's no longer before a court. Please tell me sometime down the track it will not be before a court. I'd love to know who's paying all these legal bills. Anyway, another story. Apropos absolutely nothing. How is it that kids, and I'm talking about parliamentary staffers, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, why, if you're a parliamentarian, a minister, why would you be hiring children? They're kids, little more than children. They're advising ministers on all sorts of things about which they could possibly have no real life experience. What would they know? Maybe they've got a degree in something, but certainly not life. If you're a politician, let alone a minister, you need wise, worldly, mature people with some life experience. The kind of people who don't go out on the town, get drunk and disorderly and make poor life decisions. Can't see how that is a qualification to sort of give you advice, but be that as it may, as I say, apropos of absolutely nothing. Mission Australia have conducted a very big comprehensive survey, speaking of youth, the youth of this nation, and I'll talk to you more about that later in the week. The things, in fact, that concern young people. I don't know if maybe they were coached. Doesn't strike me. I mean, I'm sort of surrounded from time to time by young people, and my youngest boy is only 22 years old, and I could tell you what he's interested in, but it doesn't seem to match up with anything that the Mission Australia people have come up with. Be that as it may. Barry messaged me earlier in the week, and he said, Jeremy, have a look at this. The Daily Mail, Australia, 28th of November, I think it was, 28th of November 2023. Anthony Albanese has provided $600 million in funding to the NRL in Papua New Guinea, the National Rugby League in Papua New Guinea. If the National Rugby League want to have a team placed or based in Papua New Guinea, well, let them put the $600 million. Why would it cost $600 million to set up a rugby league club? And if Anthony Albanese loves rugby league, let him put his own money up. Now, I agree with you, my friend, and thank you for the comment. It is disgraceful. Taxpayers putting up $600 million to support football in a completely different country. Not that it's independent, mind you, it got its independence, but certainly not independent. None of these people are independent. What are you, Anthony, is it that you're frightened that the Chinese are going to put the money up and we'll miss out on a rugby league opportunity? For God's sake. How can this be right? Have a listen. Business and big businesses are having trouble getting their staff back to work. People don't want to go back to the office. I didn't want to leave the office. We did when I was at AA and the pandemic erupted. I reluctantly, at the time, did it from home because it's rather difficult without the sophistication of the equipment that you've got in the office, or in my case, the studio, because people tune in and they listen, and, if they hear glitches and mistakes and things, they think probably poorly of you. These days, I'm quite grateful to sit at the dining room table, and I don't much care about the bumps and the rough bits. And I gather from the comments I get, people don't either. But anyway, be that as it may, staff don't want to go back to the office. Some have tried, office owners and business owners have tried bribes, they've tried bonuses, come into the office every second day. How about 3 days a week? Pete, what do you reckon?
I'd sack them.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree. It can't be right.
No.
He who pays the piper calls the tune.
Exactly.
It's been that way all my life. If you get told, come into the office, you just damn well go into the office, don't you? I'll say this, though. Not so much Adelaide, not so much the Adelaide CBD, But we're getting there. Not quite there yet, thank God. But Sydney and Melbourne are just impossible. The parking, the planter boxes, the bike lanes, the sheer human alienation. The alienation of humankind in a city. It plays a part in people not wanting a bar of those cities, I'm sure. By stealth, city councils are taking the warmth, the human scale, the hospitality, the warmth out of the modern city. And why? We are not the aliens. Oh, look, I know they hate the motor car. Oh, God, they hate the motor car. But they're making it harder and harder to get in and move around. We're not all going to ride bicycles, ladies and gentlemen. You can forget that. So is it that people want to work from home, or is it just that they don't want to go into the city? Either way, these city councils are responsible for a huge, huge number of assets and a huge problem. You see, they need the rates and the taxes. And if the city buildings, pardon me, aren't occupied, they certainly won't be hot property. So between the odd pandemic, councils who have lost the plot, rents, rates, taxes that are all too high, I wonder if the big cities even have a future. A small city like Adelaide is better placed to give people what they want and what they need. And I sort of look at it and think to myself, what's going on in Sydney and Melbourne is giving Adelaide a huge advantage. Any smaller centre where people can feel more of the community, be part of that wonderful fabric, camaraderie, friendship. You know, I think it's important. I will leave you, best I go and put this cold to bed, I think. The 5th of December, I'll leave you with some dates. Happy birthday or happy wedding anniversary, if it is a day of celebration for you. Aaron Allen was born. He patented the folding theatre chair. It's never crossed my mind to actually ask who did, but there you go. Might come up, might be useful information. That was back in 1854. The folding theatre chair. That's where you put the seat up. Yeah. Subscriber trunk dialing. STD. Which, the initials, of course, which did take on another meaning much later on, but it was meant to stand for subscriber trunk dialing. 1958 was the year. It's inaugurated in the UK by the Queen when she speaks to the Lord Provost in a call from Bristol to Edinburgh. History was made. I mentioned the first electric car, 1893. Coldplay band, lead vocalist Chris Martin, 35, got married to Gwyneth Paltrow. 2003, Alexandre Dumas, French writer, Three Musketeers, The Count of Monte Cristo. I always thought, Pete, that I would write one calling it The Count of Monte Cordo.
Yeah, it's got a ring to it.
Well, you never know. You never know. Yeah, when was that? That was 1870. Alexander was born. Benjamin Spock was arrested for protesting against the Vietnam War in 1967. Yeah, he was a bit of a firebrand in his day. Spider-Man creator Stan Lee, 24, weds Joan Clinton Bucock on this day in 1947. And he was out here just the other year, you know, at Comic-Con. signing things, and I think he has gone to God now, but he was a great age, grand age. George Washington re-elected US President 1792. Thomas Jefferson re-elected US President. George Clinton Vice President, 1804. The French franc is created in 1360. Little Richard, whose real name is Wayne Pennyman. He was born in Georgia in 1932. O.J. Simpson is sentenced to 33 years jail for kidnapping and armed robbery. 2008. Pete, where's O.J. Simpson these days?
Well,
is he out or in?
No, I think he's still in jail, I think. But he got off the murder charge, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, oh my God. How did he do that? Who was his lawyer?
Well,
I want that lawyer.
Well, I know, but
if ever I get into trouble, that's my lawyer.
You know, you've got a jury of 12 people. There would have been O.J. Simpson fans there, and
yeah,
insane.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Anyway, one more. Monty Python's Flying Circus final episode on the BBC this day in 1974. Have yourself a... oh dear, I'm sorry. Have yourself a great day, and God willing, I will be back tomorrow. Peter Clayton behind the camera. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux.
And we've got
yes, we've got some pictures to show you. This is Harriet.
Harriet's daughter. Harriet's Joey. Just the Joey by itself.
But you haven't given the Joey a name?
We don't know whether it's a male or female yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it's getting so big.
Yeah.
And so quickly.
Well...
So it's just a photo of the baby.
But not with the mother?
No.
Because you know what they do. They're fairly ruthless and they kick them out. Now it's time you're on your way, son.
Yeah.
They do it. They're quite precise.
They do, but I do also have a lovely shot where she's got... I think it was yesterday I took this, where she's got her arm around the baby, just holding it there.
Yeah. Okay, well look at this with us and we'll see you tomorrow. Believe in yourself, and thanks for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.